Oh, hi. It is another Wednesday, which means it is another episode of Awkward Sex in the City. And yeah, it's just me again. I promise there are guests coming. I swear to God. I actually worked really hard on trying to get a guest for this episode, and no one could do the times that I had available, which has been probably the hardest thing about getting used to a job, because like with the job, I could just record without a job. I could just record whenever. I can't do that anymore. And I forgot what that's like. I'm 6 weeks into a job and I'm still adjusting. But money's great, right? Capitalism's awesome when you get money. Ugh. It's also like 8 o'clock in the morning right now. I am recording this before my job. I even had a 3-day weekend and I was just like, yes, I'm going to get so many guests that I'm just going to just go back to back. Cause that's how I used to like to do it, is because I like my me time. I used to like record 4 episodes like in the studio at once. I'm not sure if that was the best for me, because I would definitely be at the 4th interview just kind of dead. We'd be drained, It takes a lot of energy to listen. And I know that sounds like a sarcastic thing, but for me, it's not. Like, it takes a lot of energy for me to listen. It can be very draining. And so this is actually probably better for the podcast and for you guys. But your girl likes to sit in her bed and watch Gilmore Girls for 5 hours straight a lot. Like I've been doing this probably for a decade and I still haven't hit the point where I'm like, I'm sick of this. I love my bed. I love my bed so much. I don't know about you guys. Like, side note, I'm doing this in the morning as well because the 3-day weekend, could not think about what I wanted to talk about. So here we are, doing this now. But what I meant to say is, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how you recharge, right? Like, I've got friends that recharge with their friends and I'm just like, absolutely not. I cannot imagine that being the way that I recharge. Mine is complete silence from everyone. I just don't want to be around anyone. And not in like a mean way. It's just, I want to do dumb shit alone in my room. I don't know how else to explain that or describe that. But like, one of the big ways, and I've talked about this repeatedly, that I like to recharge, and I have done this my whole fucking life, which is just closing the door to my bedroom, locking it. When I was a child, I'd play the music very loud out of my bright pink Hello Kitty radio, which was a sad day when I let her go. She was a beaut. Thinking that if the door was locked and closed, no one could hear the music. Fun fact about like how the world works, my whole family heard everything. As much as we have bickered in my adult years, they were very patient through the phases of 18s. If you don't know who 18s is, I feel sorry for you. It's just ABBA. It's just covers of ABBA by 4 hot people. Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, even though I was definitely team NSYNC. Nick Carter always just gave me weird vibes. Britney Spears, Mariah Carey, Christina Aguilera, 98 Degrees. Just over and over again, just dancing like a fucking idiot. And I still do that. That is still, to this day, one of the best ways for me to just kind of like reset. And Aaron hates it because I won't let him see it. This is very true. I locked the door. He was like, but what if something happens to you and the door is locked? I was like, we can unlock our doors. And I've done it myself. You just, all you do is just like twist the knob or like the little thing and you can open the door. It's totally fine. Our doors don't even completely lock. You have to like really slam the door to lock it, or for the lock to like be in the switch where it sticks. I don't know. So it's like very easy for him to do it, but I'm just like, no, like this is my thing. No one's seen it except one of my brother's friends who saw me dancing in the garage to NSYNC. Because yes, I was pretending that the garage was a fucking stage. Actually, that's not true. A lot of people have seen this that are not my family or like close people in my life. my brother's friends. He saw that and he was like, I'm immediately telling your brother. And of course, I was devastated for a week. I probably was like 10. It's fine. Who cares? And then I used to also, we used our garage as like a playroom. Like my parents didn't put their cars in it. Like there was toys in there and stuff. So I would on, bright sunny days to get sun into the garage, I would, open the garage door, play my music, and like rollerblade or like danced and make up routines. And I remember I never like connected the dots when I was younger, but our neighbors would like watch me and not in a creepy way. At least I don't think that. So they were like nice to us. They would always like make sure if I was okay, if I was like waiting for the bus and stuff like that. Like I don't think so, but I was also a child, so who fucking knows? But they would just like watch me because here's this fucking kid in like rollerblades making up a routine, pretending she's like an Olympic ice skater. That was my fave. Or pretending I was an Olympic gymnast. Still partake in that make-believe scenario, which is another reason why like I don't want people to see this, right? Like I am a 32-year-old woman pretending that I am like on the 1996 Olympic team. And I don't know, this is kind of embarrassing to admit. Like, I know I have friends that listen to this, but if you ever just are like stressed and just want to like relax and release, I highly recommend it. Put on an ABBA song and pretend you're in the Olympics, and it's great. I actually did gymnastics as a child for like 4 days, and then they told me, they told my parents I was like too fat. So that's cool. So maybe that's why I'm always like, it could have been me. I don't think so, especially with my knees, which I've talked to you guys about in length. My knees are not, as one doctor said, your knees are not like other people's knees, which just, they're skeletally like not lined up correctly. So another fun thing, which I've definitely talked about on the podcast, is when I did all these dances, especially in my youth, my knees would dislocate and I had no clue what the fuck was going on. I had no clue how to explain it to my parents, except this is very searing pain. And I also started kind of hiding it from my parents because I remember the first time it happened, I was like 5, and me and like my brother's friends and my brother and some of my friends were doing like a race around the house, and I was actually fucking winning. And I like pivoted really hard on a turn, and that's like the thing is like you can't pivot too hard when your knees like aren't aligned correctly, because then they can pivot out of the joint. At least in my case. I don't know. What does it have to do with sex? We'll find out. That sounds like it's happened to me during sex, and it hasn't, knock on wood, because that would be an awkward sex story. But like, so it happened, and I fell really hard because, at least for me, like when my knees have dislocated, you just fall straight to the ground. I have kicked and hit those bad boys back into place too, and I don't think that's very sound. And as a 32-year-old that's kind of has a painful knee right now, it's like, yes, this is starting to add up. But basically, I fell to the ground. I was screaming in pain because it really hurt. And I tried to explain to my dad, and he was just like, I think you just fell. And it's like, no, I know what fucking falling feels like at 5. This is not falling pain. Anyways, very, very not fun pain. And so we wouldn't figure it out until I think I was like 21. I think it's my senior year of college. I was training for a marathon, and it didn't happen while I was running. It happened when I was, you guessed it, dancing in my room like an idiot during one of the breaks. And I finally was just like, I have to figure out what this is. I need to know what this is. And my dad was just kind of like, that's convenient that this happened while you're training for a marathon. Granted, I had like just ran like the most miles ever in my life, which was like 15, because we were like halfway through training or something. And finally fucking get an MRI. Even the doctors don't fucking believe me. They're like, it's fine, you're fine. And then they called like my mother frantically and was just like, oh my God, no, this is like she needs to be in physical therapy. She needs to be doing this. And of course I was 21 being like, I don't need physical therapy. Yeah. If your doctor said you need to Do it. Where did this come from? Let's get this onto sex. Oh, this was all from how do you recharge? How do you de-stress yourself? Do you? Do you have the time to do that? I do miss that. People asking me about the job, like, do I like it? And it goes in a cycle, right? Like, payday, it's great. Love the job. I get paid on a Friday. I have Fridays off. So it's like double whammy. Love it. Weekend, great. Start over. And then you slowly start to hate the job a little bit more and more. And then you get paid again and you're happy again, right? It's just like a cycle. Like, this is how jobs work, right? I feel like that's what it was like at Trader Joe's, except the cycle was longer because you got paid every 2 weeks. I get paid every week, which is just like, holy shit, the best. But if you aren't aware, jobs take up a lot of your free time. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is having this job, which is great. Love it. Here for it. And love it, here for it, in that, like, oh my God, I'm not stressing about money, and I haven't felt this way in a very long time. I was telling Aaron, I was like, I don't think you've ever actually known me to not be like budgeting like crazy. And now I can kind of breathe. You don't realize like how much of a stressor that is in your life until that stressor is not there anymore. And I had definitely just gotten used to that type of budget and like piecemealing jobs together. And I'd been told in the past to look into like working at a day job that I am working in. You know me, I'm not going to tell you what it is because I like some privacy in my life. But of course, I was very flippant and just very arrogant about it, just being like, no, I know what I need to do. I need to babysit. I need to do this. I need to have freedom. And now just in like retrospect, like just seeing how much of my quote unquote freedom was occupied by making sure I was paying all my bills and had this and that and this. Like me and Aaron are going to move this summer to kind of capitalize on the low rent in the city right now, or the lower rent. It's still pretty high. But the last time we moved, I had to pick up another job, and actually technically picked up two fucking jobs on top of Trader Joe's that required a lot of my time, a lot of my emotional availability, a lot of my physical availability, babysitting. And I was already working at Trader Joe's from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. So like I was just working these 12-hour days, not getting home until like 7, having to be up at 5 to be at this location, and just you can't create in that way. For me, and I don't know about you, and I can't speak for anyone else, I cannot create while stressed, no matter what type of stress is. So like a good portion of the pandemic, when we really had no control, which AKA my worst nightmare, no control, and had no idea of what the end game looked like or when it was coming, I was like truly paralyzed creatively, truly. And there was that guilt with it when everyone's like, I'm taking all this free time to like write the novel and do this. And I was like, well, shouldn't I be doing that? It's like, no, because this is horrifyingly scary. Anywho, it's fun to look back on, but it's not, because a lot of people fucking died and it was a horrifying experience. People still ask me, people in my like new day job were like, because not everyone lives in New York, was like, what was it like? And I was like, traumatizing. And I don't use that word lightly. Like, it was fucking traumatizing. Droves of people left. Like, everyone was scared. I mean, I guess it just all goes back to this past year, right? This past year. And trying to get any type of grasp on it, which who knows if that's even healthy. Like, I sometimes just want to be like, let's just, this here goes in the bottom drawer and we just close it and we lock it. But like at the same time, like, I don't want to forget this year either. Personally, there was a lot of personal growth. And I think there was a lot for a lot of people. I think there was a lot of like refinding your worth, your self-worth. And fun fact, if you're like, I want to find that, it'll be so much easier. The first couple months are not fun. They're not. It's actually like, it's that whole like the healing hurts more than the wound shit. It's true. But I still think it's necessary. Like, I'm not gonna be like, I don't recommend. I highly recommend. I highly recommend growth and learning about yourself. That's why I hate this whole episode. It's like, Natalie, durr. Um, it is so surreal to like be sitting where I'm sitting right now and like looking out the window and seeing the buds of the trees come out because it's, it's beginning of April. It's starting to warm up. New York finally might be in actual spring because I don't know. It was like 40 degrees on Friday. I think the high is like 65 today. And I just remember last year just being like counting the days by watching the trees grow and just being like, oh, just once the trees get green, like it's going to be better. And it actually was, right? Like, I will talk about it forever. The summer was fucking magical. This summer is going to be a fucking shit show. You can feel it. It's coming. Just like that burp did. One time I was on the phone with someone because I have weird burps. Me and my dad both like can't burp. They get stuck in our throat and it sounds disgusting. And I was like on the phone like for a meeting, not with work, something else. And the person on the line was like, what was that noise? And I was just like, I was really hoping you didn't hear it. But they did. And it's, it's just part of my truth. And I apologize for saying that. It is very early. I don't know. It is what it is. I think I'm also just kind of I just realized I was feeling weird. I didn't sleep well last night. Aaron's going back to like into the job again, which is just, we've done this before back in September and it was weird, but I got used to it because your girl loves her alone time. So it was like, oh, right. But it's just weird again. It is that, getting used to a new change. And isn't that what this whole fucking year has been? And it all circles back, right, to the pandemic, right? It's just a through line. I can't ignore it. It's just there. Going back to last week about like the next couple months being bumpy. Friday I was officially fully vaxxed. April 2nd was 2 weeks after my second shot, on a subway. And I thought it was going to be really weird. And I thought I was going to get really emotional. And then I get down there and I was like, oh, right. You've like ridden the subway like 8.5 years of your life. Like this feels it felt exactly the same. Like exactly the same every time we went on the train to this weekend. And to have like a Metro card again, I kept readying myself for the freak out or for the bumpiness, and it didn't come yet. At least this weekend. And this weekend, like, uh, hung out with friends, went in the subway, went to Coney Island. I don't know, got brunch, outdoor brunch. All these things that like, I don't know, that I was just like, this is going to be weird. And I'm tensing up right now as I talk about it, but it wasn't tense there. I don't know. I was actually just thinking the other day, like, I was like, I've been outside with like people a lot. I actually really want to get tested. Though they're recommending that, like, unless you have symptoms, you shouldn't get tested. Not that you shouldn't, but like, you don't have to. I don't know. It's weird. Booked like 2 Amtrak tickets. I don't know why I can't think of the word. No, I have like a date when I'm seeing my parents. Haven't seen them since December of 2019. So everything's weird still. I don't understand time. Why? Why do you ask? Why do you bring that up? So Friday was mine and Aaron's 6-year anniversary, which is wild because we both were like, it doesn't feel like it's 6 years. because it's flown by, right? So it's like, why? How does time work? I have nothing to say about it. I have no, like, that's it. Like, that's the thing. It's been 6 years. What? And what was really funny, and so we went to Coney Island, that weekend, and I had, like, posted about it on Instagram, and this guy that we're friends still, but, like, literally fucked him the day before mine and Aaron's first date, was like, "Oh my god, I was at Coney Island too." And it turns out we were, like, at the same bar and just didn't realize it at the same time. And I don't know, do your, like, worlds collide like that? Like, mine do that a lot. And, like, me and this guy, like, are on good terms. Again, like, I don't know if I wanna say ended amicably because we never were, like, a thing. We were always very like, "Oh, this is a sex thing." Um, and I think I've talked about it before. He was part of my year of dick, met at actually one of my comedy shows. Someone had recommended him to me to perform, and the first time we met, I was actually in, like, a really bad relationship still and totally missed that he was, like, hitting on me, and then I was so like, I remember that night so well too because, like, I was, like, waiting for my ex or not yeah, I was waiting for my then boyfriend to, like, come. He was, like, supposed to come to the show, he didn't come to the show. And then he was supposed to come to the bar after the show, and he was like, "Actually, why don't you come here?" And I had to, like, walk, like, a fucking 20-minute walk out of the way and got there, and he was like, "Oh, we're leaving now, we're going back that way." And it's like, "Fuck you." And this whole time, I'm, like, texting him at the bar of, like, the venue that I used to do the show at, and here's this dude just like, "Hey, that's a great show, that's a great set, like, when did you get into comedy?" Um, and I totally brushed him off because I wasn't paying attention, and I was also in a relationship, but I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know. I gotta go. I have to go meet my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah." And it was miserable. I was so miserable. I, like, broke up with him, I think, like, it was, like, a month or 2 after that. And what there was not much time left on, this relationship, thank God. And I don't remember how me and this dude, like, reconnected. Um 'Cause it wasn't right after me and that guy broke up. It was actually another dude that I met at my show. We had exchanged numbers because he was, like, running late, and he was like, "I'm just gonna be in the back, blah, 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 and just text me when you want me to come out," or something like that. And then, like, a day after, he started texting me, and I was like, "This guy is this guy is hitting on me." And I was very mutual. I'd had, like, a crush on this dude, like a comedy crush, and so I completely forgot about the other guy, because I was like, "Oh, this dude that I built up in my mind," that I would then later, like, period all over his bed, not the dude that was at Coney Island. I can't use any names, so all of this is confusing. But I, like, ran into him again. None of this makes sense. What should I call him? We're gonna call one Comedy Crush and one Coney Island. So I ran into Comedy Crush a little while after I had broken up with the ex. Very randomly, I saw him talking on the phone as I was, like, walking into a bar that I would frequent bar/venue I would frequent a lot, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's him." I had just gotten my hair, like, done, like, dyed and cut, so I looked amazing, but it had poured, so my hair actually got messed up immediately, and I wasn't wearing, like, the right shoes for the rain, but I, like, had told my friend I was coming to this show, but I ran late. So I saw him, like, go into, like, the vestibule, and I was like, "I bet I can time this perfectly so it looks like a total accident." And I just like, I watched him go through, and, like, I waited literally a minute because that's also where the restrooms were, and as I opened the door, he was, like, coming out, and I was just like, "Hey." And he was like, "Hey." And that, like, was literally it. I remember being on my period being like, "We probably won't have sex tonight." but it'd be fun to hang out with him, and then totally have sex. And I can't remember if I told this on the podcast before, but so we like go back to his place. He has a car, which was very clutch. We would just like, he'd just drive us back to his place. And because we would hook up a lot. And we get there and I was just kind of like, hey, I'm on my period. And he was like, that's fine. Like, I can put a towel down. And he literally like put a towel down. And so I went to, take out my tampon. Of course, it was like a very dude's apartment / bathroom. And yes, he did not have a bed frame. And I pull out my tampon and I flush it. And the tampon flushes, but all the blood doesn't. And so now I'm just freaking out because I'm trying to like clean this man's toilet bowl and I can't find fucking toilet bowl cleaner. So I literally use like Head and Shoulders like shampoo. And I've now been there in 10 minutes to the point that he's knocking on the door being like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And then we would like have sex and then he'd be like, it was early. Like it was like, I think we had like went to his place like at 8 p.m. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And he was like, well, are you going to go to grab tampons and come back or like what? Like anything's cool. And I was just like, I have options here. But I decided to leave. I like balled up some toilet paper and met my friend at, I think, Beauty Bar and like danced there and like blood like was like trickling down my legs because I was wearing a dress. All of that is to say nothing. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm glad I got sex in there. We're always glad to get sex in there. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to stop there. That story is much better than what I just said, but it's more because I have to work it out. It's one for the stage. I just haven't done the work. Yeah, guys, thank you again for always listening, for always being here. Keep washing your hands, even if you've been fully vaccinated. Keep wearing your mask, even if you've been fully vaccinated. There will be guests very soon, I promise. And I will see you guys next week. Stay safe.
Growing up, there were seldom history lessons that left me feeling empowered as a Black woman. But such stories are far more plentiful than the limited scope of U.S. history books would have us believe. Learn about some of them with me on baa8bbd238b611eb8294c, a Black and Proud Her Story podcast, where I, Mary Aliska, dive into the lives and legacies of totally badass Black women movers and shakers who I previously knew next to nothing about. Check out baa8bbd238 on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Stitcher. See you there.